For the second example, the good news is that we're given the cosine of x is equal to 2/5. And if we look back at the sine and cosine half angle formulas, we need the cosine of x in each of those. So that piece of information is given to us. Where we have to spend a little bit more time paying attention is on where this angle is located. So in this case, our angle is between 270. The original angle is between 270 and 360. And so we have to determine where the half angle is located, because if we don't know where the half angle is located, then we don't know whether to give a positive or negative sign to our answer when we're all done with that half angle formula. So if the original angle is between 270 and 360, then that means the half angle is going to be between half of each of those numbers. So it's going to be bigger than 135, which is half of 270, but it's going to be smaller than 180. And so that puts us in quadrant 2. Now if we're in quadrant 2, if we're in quadrant 2, from our all students take calculus little mnemonic device, we know that sine is going to be a positive, but cosine and tangent are both going to be negative. So in the case of the sine and cosine half angle formulas, we have to choose. That's what that plus or minus in front of the square root symbol means. We have to choose. It's not that the answer is plus or minus, but we have to choose whether it's positive or whether it's negative. For the tangent, it'll work out to be negative when we're all done if we just use that quotient identity to come up with that one. Or if we use any of the other identities, if we go back here and look at these two right here, if we use either one of those to calculate what the tangent of the half angle is, the plus or minus will take care of itself. I generally wouldn't recommend working with this one right here. It's going to be pretty much a nightmare to try to rationalize that expression under even the best of circumstances. But back to this one here. So if we start working on the sine of the half angle, so we've got the square root of 1 minus the cosine of x over 2. So that's our formula, and we're going to go with the positive on this one since we've established we're in quadrant 2. So if we keep going from there, we're going to have 1 minus 2/5 all over 2, and that's all underneath the square root symbol. 1 minus 2/5 is 3/5. So we've got 3/5 over 2 all underneath the square root symbol. Now, if we take 3/5 and divide it by 2, we could take 3/5 and multiply it by 1/2. So we're going to end up with 3/10. And so then the last thing we've got to do is rationalize our expression. So multiply the top and bottom by root 10. So we get root 30 over 10. And so that is the sine of our half angle. For cosine, if we work through that one, we've got the cosine of the half angle is equal to, now this time we're going to assign the negative sign to it. So it's going to be the negative square root of 1 plus cosine of x over 2. So again, because our half angle is in the second quadrant, we know that cosine is negative in the second quadrant, so we have to choose that negative sign. The answer is not plus or minus in either case. So continuing forward, we've got negative, we'll write that down to keep that in mind, 1 plus cosine, so we're 1 plus 2/5 all over 2. 1 plus 2/5, so 5/5 plus 2/5 is 7/5 all over 2. Again, underneath the square root symbol with the negative sign. If we then divide 7/5 by 2 or multiply by 1/2, we're going to have 7 over 10 underneath the square root symbol. And then if we rationalize that, multiply the top and bottom by root 10, we're going to have root 70 over 10, and our answer is negative. So our cosine of the half angle is negative root 70 over 10. So to close things out, we need to find the tangent of the half angle. Now, like I said, we only need to assign the negative sign out in front if we use that square root version of the tangent formula. If we use either of the other versions of the tangent half angle formula, or if we just go with our easiest approach, which is to just take our two answers, the cosine of the half angle and the sine of the half angle, and divide them, then we can see that we're going to end up with that negative answer that we're supposed to. So we don't have to worry about making our answer negative. So I'm going to take root 30 over 10 for sine of 1/2 x divided by negative root 70 over 10 for the cosine of 1/2 x. So if we continue, change that to a multiplication of two fractions, we got root 30 over 10 times the reciprocal of that bottom fraction, so 10 over negative root 70. We can see that the 10s are going to cancel out. So now we've got negative root 30 over root 70. And so we've got a little bit of simplifying to do. First of all, we can reduce that into negative root 3 over root 7. So we can just divide the top and bottom by 10. And then to rationalize, I just need to multiply the top and bottom by root 7. And so then we end up with an eventual answer of tangent 1/2 x is equal to negative root 21 over 7.